Hi, Yanni.
Hi, Karen.
Welcome, everybody, to Shouldn'ta Come. This is a podcast about politics and how they're kind of stupid and that none of us should really be here, except for a select few who are definitely allowed to be here.
And it's about Australian politics.
Australian politics, I should
that.
clarify. Yeah. Aussie.
One thing I know about Aussies don't give a shit about stuff.
Yeah, if you were here I know we had a lot of listeners asking us to cover the recent elections in Romania, and I'm really sorry about that, but we haven't got our coverage together for that yet.
Yeah, sorry. It's my bad. I just don't give a shit. That's my problem.
I would love to cover an election somewhere and not be given any context about who any candidate or any party is, and I just have to kind of piece it together while I'm covering it on election day.
Absolutely. Like, you just get plugged in, you get locked in a room with all of this stuff, like heaps of news reports, you get like live streams, you get video, you get news articles and stuff like that.
I was imagining I just have to be at the polling booths and just interviewing people, try to work out like where I am, where the city is, what the vote's for, who's likely to win, which candidate is on which side of what spectrum.
That's fair. Look, I like the idea of just being like plonked into just an isolated room for any event that you have no knowledge about. Maybe it's a darts championship. You get plonked in a room and it's like, okay, you're now reporting on the
darts championship.
On the fucking dart.
People are entitled to their sexual proclivities. Let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom. But I ain't spending any time on it. But I ain't spending any time on it. But I ain't spending any time on it. Let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom. But I ain't spending any time on it.
I should have written something, but that's fine. I should have.
All right, that's how the episode starts. All right, let's move.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shouldn'ta Come.
Hello.
This is a podcast about Australian politics, political adjacent things, and why it's a very bad reason that Australia is a place that most of us live. Not most as in globally, but most Australians live in Australia. Yeah. That's kind of upsetting.
Oh, most of the listeners to this podcast live here, except for that one person in, like, wherever...
Well, like Ashburn in the US.
Virginia. Whoever you are,
hey,
whatever
thanks.
you are, like, just let me know. I'm keen to know who you are.
Who are you?
Well, I'm cursed now. Who the fuck are you, bro?
Because I didn't send this to you, and Kieran didn't send this to you, so I don't know how you got this.
But thanks for being here.
Yeah, we love you, Ashburn. Shout out, Ashburn.
Today we're going to be looking at how the Israel-Palestine conflict, which is a genocide, and its politicization has been felt in Australia.
Cheery topic.
It's fun. It's a fun topic for a fun time.
Yeah, I met someone today who I think probably has views that I disagree with on that, but shout out if you're listening.
Well, I figure most people should know about the history of the war and how we got here. I wanted to give a brief, like an incredibly brief, barely scratching the surface rundown of the situation.
How much could there be?
Well,
what we see today takes on the configuration that it's had ever since in 1917, when Britain lends the support of the greatest empire on earth to the Zionist project with the Balfour Declaration.
The earliest historical records we have of a Palestine, referred to under the name Palestine, which is spelt almost identically,
It's probably in like Greek or something, right?
Well, it's from the histories of Herodotus, written in the 5th century BCE.
Yeah,
so it's like
it's great.
2,500 years old. Look, here's the thing. I couldn't tell you who Herodotus is.
Herodotus wrote a famous history. That's one of the two things I know about him.
Nice.
The other thing is that he made a bunch of claims that I think all the English explorers went following that were just nonsense things.
Hilarious.
And they were like, but Herodotus wrote it, and Greek philosophy is the foundation of Roman philosophy, is the foundation of our great society. So that's what I have about Herodotus.
Hell yeah. Well, look, he mentions Palestine.
Yeah, he talked about a lot of places. He was kind of just like one of the first histories of the world.
Oh, he's like a travel blogger.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine if a travel blogger was also a world map.
All right, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like they actually had to fulfill the purpose of
Had
informing.
to actually go there.
Well, they had to. Well, I don't know if Herodotus went. I don't know shit about Herodotus, but like, imagine if like a travel blogger also was responsible for making sure society knows where things are. That's Herodotus.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And not the requisite skill. Anyway.
Get it, King.
So he's the first one to mention Palestine.
Yep, that's right. So the area that he mentions covers roughly the same area as modern Israel and Palestine, with some fluctuations to inland borders. Palestine changed hands numerous times over the next 2,000 years before eventually being encompassed by the Ottoman Empire.
They show up all the time in these stories. It's almost like they were around for a long time and pretty influential.
That's crazy.
The Ottoman Empire is the Julia Gillard of world history.
They're just like, surprise, motherfucker, it's me.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. As you know, I don't do this much anymore.
Fuck, it's always the Ottoman Empire. Fuck. So in World War I, the Arab Revolt, which is an uprising for independence from local Arab peoples in Ottoman territories, it succeeded. Yay!
Yay!
The British, oh God.
You're joking. Not another one? Oh, for God's sake, I can't stand this.
Oh God, the British assisted in this effort and promised to honour their wishes of an independent and unified Arab state.
The Arab Revolt did contribute to the victory of the Allies.
Well, nothing is of more value than a British man's word.
Well, I mean, if you know anything about the British, the next bit is pretty predictable.
Go on.
Instead of doing what they promised, these regrettable life forms made a secret deal with France.
Oh, what? With France?
Yep, it's called the Sykes-Picot Agreement.
Oh, that's what Sykes-Picot Agreement. I've heard tell of the Sykes-Picot Agreement a few times, yeah.
Yeah, so the agreement is that they would divide up the land ceded by the Ottoman Empire into little chunks that they would each control. So France took Syria, Lebanon, the Kurdistan region, and parts of Turkey. Britain took Jordan and parts of Iraq, Palestine, and what is currently Israel.
Yeah, Britain just took parts of Iraq.
Yeah.
And then they put it on a boat. They put it on a flying machine like in the Avengers and took it back to fucking Launceston.
Exactly. They were like, Launceston?
There's surely that's a British town
Oh,
name.
it surely must be. I just feel like I think about it for New Zealand.
Yeah, well, that's weird because
who
it's in
named it, you know?
Tasmania.
Oh, shit.
Just our knowledge of Australian geography is clearly terrible.
Real rough.
That's the West. Anyway, they took Iraq.
Exactly. And Russia and Italy got in on the action as well, taking parts of Turkey and Armenia. So there were already murmurings at this time in British politics of an independent Jerusalem, with Ronald Storrs, who is a British foreign official with an absolute history. Not enough time.
Sir Ronald Storrs, who was Oriental Secretary in Cairo at the time of the Arab Revolt, and later military governor of Jerusalem and civil governor of Judea.
Saying, the Jewish state is in theory an attractive idea, but the Jews are very much a minority in Palestine generally, and form indeed a bare sixth of the whole population. Would not the inclusion of a part of Palestine in the Egyptian protectorate, with the establishment at Jerusalem of a mixed municipality, be a possible solution?
Sure. I guess that's better than what happened.
Well, yeah, look, it's just like, hey, they've been thinking about this since, the
Brits are always like,
for a while.
What do we do with all these Jews? And the Jews are just being in London or whatever. The Brits are like, what do we do about this?
Jesus Christ. And this is pre-World War II as well. So at this time, a lot of Zionist immigrants were beginning to head to Palestine. There was a lot of violent domestic conflicts between Palestinian Arabs and Zionist immigrants, both wanting to remove the other from the country. So it was a very strained relationship between the two groups when World War II does come about.
Great time for all of the arms makers, World War II.
Yep.
Like, think of it. They sit back and they go, man, you remember the 40s? We were killing it back then.
Rolling in that
now
shit.
Look at us.
Pathetic.
We're selling pastrami to pools.
Fuck. So during the war, and I won't cover the war because it's World War II. If you don't know about it, I don't know what to tell you. But during World War II, Jewish groups in Palestine were revolting against British occupation and aiming for the creation of a Jewish state.
So far you've said the Arabs are revolting and the Jews are revolting. Who next, Karen?
Who next? Well, let me tell you, Britain, who historically loves the idea of partition, see India, Ireland, and all of Africa, basically threw the decision to the UN and bounced out because it was too much of a headache.
That's okay. But the UN is young at this point, but they're coming through, right?
They split the land into two states.
Why?
Palestine for Arabs, Israel for Jews. And basically nobody in the region was happy about it.
Yeah, because this went so well the first time.
If you look at a map for the proposed partition, it's a fucking mess. Basically, there's a little piece to the north, a larger chunk to the northeast, and a skinny L shape to the southwest dedicated to Palestine, with the remaining land for Israel. This is logistically a nightmare because each region of Palestine can only be accessed by another through an incredibly small point of contact.
Was it just like, there's more Jewish people here, so this is Israel, there's more Arabs here, this is Palestine, or whatever?
Well, 32% of the population of Palestine at the time was Jewish, and they received 56% of the territory, whereas the majority population of Palestinian Arabs received 42% of the territory. So, no, it was not evenly split.
The Commonwealth, ironically named. The wealth was in one place.
Jerusalem and its surrounding area, being of particular religious significance to 3 major world religions, was to be kept separate and administered by the UN.
It's like one religion, and then it's like kids, and like the kids grow up to be bigger than the parents and stuff. But you know, it's
My
like
big son loves this town. So now there's a 2-state solution. Yay, we did it.
it's crazy that they like the solution is the entire problem.
Yeah, so we did it, but actually we didn't, because you see, that's one state too many. Since then, the conflict has only continued with peaks and troughs of activity. Full-blown wars break out at least every decade, and the death toll is truly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Statistics from the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs show between 2008 to 2023, which is right before, the current war erupted.
Yeah, and something like there was a big thing in 2008, right? That was...
It was, I think, there was a little bit, but I think, yeah. It was,
like you said, it happens like every 10 years.
Yeah, basically every 10 years something pops off. And like, honestly, when I was looking through the Wikipedia page, just for like a timeline, it was like, okay, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 2000s, 2010s. Yeah, it was kind of silly. I was like, damn, every 10 years, huh? We really gotta...
So 2008 to 2023.
Yep. There had been 308 Israeli citizens killed and 6,407 Palestinian citizens killed. Roughly 20 Palestinians per Israeli.
Yeah, like it's not like this long war of attrition. There's like, we know this now.
Yeah,
But
like people are dying on both sides. That's absolutely correct. No side is without human casualty. There is a degree of difference, though. Like there is by factors.
Just on the numbers of what's happening.
Yeah.
Like the implied moral superiority that leaves like an army like the IDF or the Israeli state in general as acting in an interest that is understandable when the death toll is like 4 families for every Israeli who is killed.
Yeah.
When the whole premise of it is that Israelis are at a massive risk, and this is the amount of bloodshed of non-Israelis that is necessary for that. Like that is facilitate.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. And, a bit of an update on the current war and the fatalities therein. Currently, Israel claims that they've had 1,850 deaths.
And too many journalists took things that were coming from the Israeli government, from right-wing Israeli commentators, as fact and at face value when they should never have been.
And Palestine claims they have had 48,291 deaths.
Researchers estimated there were 64,260 deaths due to traumatic injury from Israel's air and ground campaign in Gaza in the first 9 months of the war. That figure is 41% higher than the official Palestinian Health Ministry count for the time.
So it's a little bit higher this time, with 26 Palestinians per Israeli killed.
I'll tell you what, though. I read a few reports about the Lancet, which I think this was maybe even 6 months ago now. But those are the deaths that has been able to identify who that person is, right? Like the Lancet said something
they say up to like 70,000 or something, or even more.
It was, I read like 180,000.
Yeah.
And that was like 6 months ago. Like we're talking just...
These statistics in particular, because it is a current ongoing wartime situation, there is no time to breathe to take account of who's dead and who's not.
Especially given how many fucking people Israel kills every day.
Especially like with the amount of bombing that's happening, people are just under rubble and they might never be found. Like, there's so many people who will just never, their name will never be spoken again. They will never see the light of day again.
Like anyone who knows them is under
they're
the
also
same rubble.
dead. Like they were all together and they're all dead now.
I was reading today, you were probably reading as well, about the situation where Hamas is handing back some hostages, like the bodies of some hostages in Israel. It's like, oh, this isn't the body of the person you said it was. And it's like, well, sorry, they were all blown up in the same bomb blast that you fucking sent.
You exploded the location they were in, so this is what we have left.
Yeah.
Do you want it or what?
And they're just like, oh, they show evidence of being, of torture. Or,
It's like, are you sure? Can you tell from someone who's been exploded? In that case, like, I'm sure you can contribute to medical research a lot more than you can contribute to, trying to bleed a stone or whatever.
I can't say it's sickening because the fucking online queers have taken that to mean good now.
Oh, no, they're slaying. It's sickening. Yeah, no. But they are slaying.
It does,
and
it does.
It is sickening in the
original.
In the original.
Jesus Christ! Like
it's rough.
It's so debased. Listeners, I'm mad because there's someone in our neighborhood whose license plate is like, and they have a fucking Israeli flag on their giant old ass Jeep with a bunch of caution tape on it, and they also drive like a shithead, and they've almost hit me when I'm walking and shit. Oh, and we just saw him today, and he always puts me in a bad mood.
Yeah, which is fair because it's a rare occurrence, but we remember every single time because we're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
it's the Mossad vehicle.
Yeah, he's probably going to fucking swerve at us. Not because he's mad at us. He can't see us.
He might just be a shit driver. It's a shit car.
He's he wears like a Blues jersey. This is just a dude who doesn't want to have anyone like him even for a second.
You
live in fucking Brisbane, you wear a fucking Blues jersey, and you drive around in your shit car with your terrorist organization license plate and your fucking BO. I mean, he was in his fucking Hasid outfit today, which was such a shock because he's usually dressed like a slob. Anyway, shout out that guy.
Yeah, shout him out.
Any relation to persons living or dead is completely coincidental.
So, speaking of fatalities, the best topic, some Australian citizens have died during the conflict as well. So far confirmed are one in Israel during the October 7 attack, one and his wife, who was on a visa, in Lebanon by an Israeli air raid, one while fighting as an IDF soldier, and one while serving as an aid worker in Gaza.
Yeah.
So there isn't any clarity from the government whether any other Australians have been killed, so these are the only ones that are confirmed.
The historical relationship between Australia and Palestine runs quite deep in a few ways. I mean, one, there's a lot of Irish people here. People understand that story. The connection between like the Irish liberation movement and the Palestinian liberation movement is very well told. And there's just a lot of people from that area here. I mean, we covered the Qatars.
Yeah.
The Qatars could quite easily have cousins in current Palestine. Like that area until relatively recently was, for some families, they would live in the same spot for generations. Other families, move from modern day Palestine to modern day Syria to Jordan to Palestine again.
Yeah.
It was just a place people lived.
Yep.
And then it was Palestine. Then it was a British mandate.
Mandatory Palestine, which is a wild thing to read.
Oh my God. It's so it's like, you guys have to be Palestine now. It's like, we were fine being Palestine before.
And they're like, well, you have to do it now. And they're like, okay. And then they're like, actually, no, I don't like that anymore.
Do it less.
Do it different now. And it's like, what? On the topic of Australia, yay. You might have seen in the news recently that 2 nurses from Bankstown-Lidcombe Hospital have been stood down after a video of them emerged speaking with an Israeli influencer on a video chat site spreading anti-Semitic hate speech.
Yeah, let's just say it's Omegle for the purposes of clarity, but we don't like it.
I don't know what fucking chat roulette, Omegle,
something like that.
Yeah,
they're on Pornhub Live.
They're on Pornhub Live, and
okay, they're on Omegle.
Exactly. So before we break down the clip and its unedited version, because there is 2 versions, the version that was originally put out and then the unedited version.
Yeah.
We need to have a little chat about the influencer in question, and that is Max Veifer.
Veifer Vendetta?
The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta held as a votive, not in vain. For the
why not?
Damn, that's crazy. They got the guy with the mask.
They got him?
They got Hugo Looming.
Oh, don't hurt me like that. Not my boy Hugo. Hugo Weaving, my boy. My
Hugo
boy.
Knitting.
No! Max's shtick is basically going on this particular Omegle site, as we'll say, and asking whether people support Israel. Mostly that's what he's doing. Max started posting these video chats on his TikTok account in August of 2023. And prior to that, it was just a bit of your standard talk to the camera, influencer content.
And that wasn't popping off?
Look, it got views, but it wasn't like...
It was just locally popular.
I think it was literally just popular on like, what is it, like Israeli talk? I don't know what it's called.
Kvetch talk.
You know, fuck. I didn't dig too deep into his previous videos because A, like 90% of the thumbnails are just his face, and B, most of it is in Hebrew.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do?
You know?
He knows his audience.
Huge shout out, I have to say, for this episode. Huge shout out to the Google app for having...
You don't have to share.
No, I'm shouting out the Google app for having that photo translation ability.
Oh, word. No, that's a crazy feature.
Because
absolutely.
the amount of stuff of his content, like everything has Hebrew subtitles. And I was like, well, I need more context. And I couldn't work out how to like get it to work. And then I was like, wait, I think Google can do this. And so I had to download the app, but it actually does it pretty well. Like, obviously, translation is janky anyway. So sometimes it just said some nonsense shit where I was like, well, that's not correct. Those are just words that don't actually form a sentence in any language.
There's a lot of things Israeli influencers say that shouldn't form a sentence in any language.
Anywho, if you scroll through his page, you can see these Omegle videos becoming more and more frequent until it becomes the majority of his content.
Yeah. Must have been getting... I mean, I can see why. I imagine people yell at him.
There's a reasonable amount of that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in one of his chat videos in October of 2023, this is after the war kicked off, a couple weeks in, he wraps his head in a keffiyeh.
Yeah. Like the headscarf, the iconic Palestinian headscarf.
Yes.
And not the word kafir, like the lime or the slur that South Africans use.
Yes, I wanted to be so sure that I was about to say.
Yeah.
So he wraps his head in a keffiyeh and claims to be from Palestine, begging two young Israeli girls to please stop bombing us. In another, dressed in the keffiyeh again, he connects with a Palestinian girl and asks if she supports Israel. She understandably says, no, fuck Israel. And he claims to be from Iran and that Iran loves Israel. He does the same thing with a Syrian boy. In these videos, there is a caption, which translated is, I'm working on plasticine.
What?
This is how he will frequently refer to Palestine. He calls it plasticine.
No, that... In English, he calls it plasticine?
Yes.
He's not saying, like, plasticine is not Hebrew for Palestine.
It's not. Later on, he jokes, being like, yeah, I love plasticine. I support plasticine. I love to play with it and stretch it.
Like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
His name is Max?
Max.
Every dog named Max, I'm so sorry that you have the same name as this motherfucker.
It's devastating. It's going to be hard, but I do hope you sleep okay tonight.
Plasticine?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So he will do that.
Fuck.
I've got a few videos of his that he posted in the last month. First is a match with two girls in Lebanon. They're both quite young. I'd say probably high school. Definitely would not say they were older than 20. And I think this is a theme throughout this particular chat app's user base, is they're all quite young.
Yeah, because when did you use Omegle?
When I was quite young.
When you were a teenager.
Yeah.
How old is Max?
Max has served in the IDF, so old enough to have served in the IDF.
He's like in his 20s at least.
Yeah.
What a fucking loser. Okay, fine.
Okay, so I have a transcript here. I'll read it to you, but we can also like cut in the video. Max says, "Hello, girls. Hello. How are you? We're good. How are you? Where are you from? Lebanon.
Lebanon, such a wonderful place. We love Lebanon in here. I'm from Israel.
What? How do you love Lebanon?
I mean, we don't love Hezbollah, but we love Lebanon.
We are with Hezbollah.
Are you guys with Hezbollah?
No.
You guys members of Hezbollah?
No.
Wait a second. You're innocent civilians in Lebanon, or you like...
No, we're innocent.
So you support peace, you support living along with Israel.
Of course, yes.
Of course, you love Israel, you support Israel, support the existence of Israel, the Jewish people.
South.
South, what south?
South Lebanon. We're
South
getting
Lebanon?
attacked right now.
Yeah, we were also getting attacked by Hezbollah, but one day, inshallah, one day there will be peace, you know, and we, the peaceful citizens, would live in peace, peaceful citizens in peace. As simple as that, right?
At this point, one of the girls does some sort of gun gesture, and he goes,
You wanna kill me?
No.
You're showing me that you are the evil guy.
No.
You know what we do with the evil guy?
One of the girls holds up a picture of Nasrallah.
You love Nasrallah?
Yeah.
Where is he now? Call him. Call him.
You're not funny at all.
And the girl says, you're not funny at all. Now, Hassan Nasrallah, the picture that the girl showed was killed in September 2024. And I don't know when this video was filmed, but it was only posted recently, so he's pretty much just mocking these girls, being like, where is he now? He's dead.
Yeah, where's the guy? Look, Nasrallah...
Sheikh Nasrallah has described war on Saddam as a satanic American Zionist plan to dominate the Arab world.
And he's right to say it.
Yeah.
So another video of his, also quite recently, he's connecting with some boys from Bangladesh. Again, they're likely in high school, maybe university, but they're still quite young.
Yeah. You know what they say? Bangla don't crack, Ngla.
I wish they didn't. Max, you guys support Israel?
No, we don't like Israel in Bangladesh.
Why?
Because they are killers. They are child killers.
Do I look like a child killer?
Netanyahu administration are child killer. Not all Israelis like you.
Why would he do that?
Ask him, he'll tell you. He's so open about why. Benjamin Netanyahu is so crazy.
I want to use this opportunity and speak to the people of Gaza. Leave. Don't stay there, because Hamas wants you to die.
Fine. Okay, Yanni, cut the video back.
The boy says, killer is killer.
But every killer has a reason behind his actions, and you say that Netanyahu kills kids. Why is he killing kids? Why did you brush your teeth this morning? So they would be clean, right?
No, that is.
You don't brush your
question,
teeth?
because
the thing is that Hamas is a terror organization, and they're using civilians in Gaza so they can have any kind of advantage on us. Why is that terrorist next to a kid? Why is it hiding with kids in a building where kids are located? What do you think would happen if there are kids there in a war zone? Kids would die as well. And kids are anyone who is up to 18 years of age. So a kid could be a teenager, 17 years old, running with a rifle. He's also a kid. You feel me?
You feel me? He says, you feel me?
Yeah.
I'm glad listener, I'm having the transcripts read out by Kieran. So far, you'll have heard it. The video is cut in. I can't imagine how mad I'm going to be later having to actually listen to this motherfucker.
Yeah.
You feel me?
You feel me?
We have to kill these kids because...
Don't you get it? It's to be clean.
It's because of dental plaque.
We have to be clean.
Just a fucking, like, a lunatic monster.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Max. Anyway, so these kids in Bangladesh who so far are like they're not even particularly inflammatory. They're like, oh, we don't even hate all Israelis. It's just Benjamin Netanyahu's regime.
Yeah, this boy is just like, I don't think people should be killing.
Yeah.
And Max is just like, oh, really?
Oh, really? Do you brush
really
your
stupid?
teeth?
Do you brush your teeth? It's like, what the fuck?
Max is talking to these kids like I talk to Archie.
You know, hey, you stinky little fuck. So this last one that I've got before we get to, you know, the big one that we're here to talk about. Here's another example. It's for, he's talking to a girl in the UK, I think from Wales.
Okay. So what, like, her name's Gwendolyn or something?
I wish I knew.
Hey, that's racist.
That is such a racist joke. The Welsh are a proud people.
What?
Max, hello. Girl, are you from Israel?
No, I'm Lebanese.
Why is it Israel then?
It says Israel because they're like messing up with the GPS and stuff.
Oh shit. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yes, no, that's fine, that's fine. So you against Israel as well?
I don't like Israel, but I like Palestine.
Yes, exactly.
So, this Israel army came to my screen with a gun.
Oh my god.
Wait, sorry. This girl says that the Israeli army came to her street?
Screen. She saw a video. She's just bad at saying it.
Oh, how old is this girl?
She looks, again, like she's probably like high school or
oh my
early
god, it's
uni.
like a fucking 15-year-old.
Like, these are children. I mean, legally they might not be children, but they're so fucking young.
According to Max, if they can hold a rifle.
If they can hold a rifle. She says that she's basically just telling a story, being like, oh my god, I saw Israeli army and they were so crazy and they had guns. And he's like, yeah, wow, crazy. And they're like talking over each other for a hot minute. And then he says, just tell them.
Don't you ever touch my plasticine. I want to play with it. They keep scratching the plasticine, right? The plastilina.
Yes, and it's
I hate when they touch my plastilina. I want to like play with it myself. I love Israel though. I stand with them.
Git.
What?
You like Israel?
Do I like Israel?
Yeah.
I told you I like plasticine. To scratch it. Plastilina.
Palestine. You like Palestine?
Plasticine.
Palestine.
Ah, yeah, of course.
You said Israel, mate.
Did I?
Don't like...
No.
Yeah.
Alright, keep supporting Israel and we love you.
Israel.
with us.
You mean Palestine, mate?
No, I mean Israel. Supporting Palestine is not trendy anymore. I just received the message. We support Israel from now on. It's not trendy anymore. We can stop supporting Palestine.
Get out. No. Fuck Israel, fuck you.
But you're not too young.
And then she disconnects.
Yeah, okay. Wow. It's not trend. That's so, I mean, because the root of that argument is like, oh, all these kids just support Palestine because they saw it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And one, that's fine by me. I mean, that's cool. Two, they probably saw the dead kids. Three, they also saw it on Wikipedia. They also saw it on the news. Like,
yeah,
it's really like what's happening is not inaccessible information at all.
You know,
it's like it's all over the internet, mate.
Continually, and this is a story you've heard before, Yanni. But you know, I learnt about Palestine in school. I went to a Catholic school. There was an attempt to present it, I suppose, favorably for Israel for a lot of reasons. And everybody who heard it was like, but Israel is just taking shit and killing people.
Yeah. Like that's
it's like, oh, but it's their holy land. And we're like, but they're just taking shit and killing people.
Yeah. And also on the Holy Land topic, some reading for all the listeners. If you want to read The Invention of the Jewish People by Shlomo Sand, who is a guy in Tel Aviv, so you can't blame me. You can check me out. But read that about the whole Holy Land thing, which like on its face should make you go, I don't give a fuck. But read up if you feel like it.
Fuck yeah, get some knowledge into ya. There's one more video that I want to talk about that's not as relevant, but I think it's a little bit eye-opening if the other stuff wasn't before. Max is talking to a black Dutch guy who has visited Israel and is discussing how hot the IDF girls are. The Dutch guy says, they're fucking hot. And he says he saw them on the app. Max says, on this app? On God? The Dutch guy nods.
Wait, sorry, it says on God?
He does say on God.
On Yahweh? Damn.
You know, the Dutch guy nods and Max says, nah, but we keep our Jewish women for ourselves, you know? The Dutch guy jokes about taking them and he wants a wife like Gal Gadot. Max then makes fun of the guy by confusing him when asking him where in Israel he's been, asking if he's seen the Arshim, which is a derogatory Hebrew slang for the Israeli stereotype of a low-class man. So think wife beaters, gold chains.
Right.
And whether he went to the French Kaparot and the Moroccan Kaparot. Now, Kaparot is a ritual that's done during Yom Kippur, a sacrifice or a donation. So in modern times, it's more or less like money.
Yeah.
So you hold money up, you do a thing, and then you give it to charity or to someone less fortunate. In previous times, it would be an animal. You would hold up an animal and you would sacrifice it, and then you would give the meat to someone who was hungry. That kind of thing. French and Moroccan makes no sense. He's just fucking making shit up. He's just making shit up to this guy and being like, blah, 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 ha, 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 ha. Oh, did you see this thing? It's like if I, asked somebody, they came to Australia, or they were like, oh, I've been to Australia. And I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. Did you see the big carrot cake? And they're like, oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I bet you got bit by one of those oceanic Chinese spiders. And they're like, oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's like I actually heard a lot more about Chinese spies while I was there.
It's like, oh, fuck. So it's just some nonsense shit. And basically the comments of his video in this one in particular is split kind of 50-50. Half the audience is like, haha, you're so funny, Max. You tell so many good jokes. And the other half is like, you shouldn't be so mean to him. He seemed really nice.
Well, you said he's black.
Yeah.
Like, no way. Max Veifer, the Israeli IDF troll, also maybe a little bit racist.
Yeah.
I did a little Google of his last name.
Yeah.
I don't want to look into it too much. But most of the Veifers are American.
He's not. He is actually born in Israel.
But are his parents Israeli?
That I'm unsure of. But I think... So he's got this whole backstory to him, right? So he's basically says he taught himself English and now he sells English language courses.
I'll teach him some words. Come over here, Max. I'll teach you some words. Now, I'm obviously in the IDF. They're crazy.
They're
crazy. He'd tear me limb from limb.
100%.
He'd tear my teeth out and feed it to Gal Gadot.
God, I wish I could do a Gal Gadot accent. The closest thing I thought of was Bjork, and that's not even the right continent.
No, you're not even really that close.
Just being like, oh, so crunchy.
That's probably what Gal Gadot sounds like.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. Shout out Gal Gadot. More like Gal Gadot.
So, yeah, just summing up all of those videos that we've discussed. He's kind of just an asshole troll, pretending to be nice and innocent and like a boy ingenue who just doesn't get why everyone is so mean to Israel.
It's very 25 fucking years ago in its tone.
Yeah, it's kind of painful to watch. Like, I had a lot of issues watching a ton of his videos because I was like, I kind of hate this guy, like, on a cellular level.
Yeah, it's like, you remember Fred? It's like mean-spirited Fred.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that could make Fred worse is if it was, like, trying to be unlikable.
You know, it's just, Anyway, so with all that context, because I think that's also important to have, in the same way that we have to have context about what's going on with Israel and Palestine before, so we can understand now, I think it's important that we understand the context of what Max has been up to before, leading us into now.
By golly, it is now something.
Yep. All right, so this is the video. So what we're about to hear is the edited version that Max originally posted. So this is the one that popped off, that got attention before he released the full version.
Yeah, the one that went viral.
Yes. Max, how are you, man?
Good, how are you, my man?
Pretty good. Are you a nurse? A doctor?
I'm a doctor, my man.
A doctor? For what?
In hospital. What about you? Where are you from?
I'm from Israel. From the Holy Land.
Right. You know what? I'm going to be really honest with you.
All right.
I'm going to be really honest with you. You actually got a really, really beautiful eyes.
Thank you, man.
But I'm so upset that you're Israeli. Like, eventually you're going to get killed and you're going to go to Jahannam, inshallah. Like, these pretty eyes, they should stay in this world for longer.
Why do you think? Why do you think I'm going to get killed?
It's Palestine's country, not your country, you piece
how are
of
you?
shit.
What's your name?
No, none of you.
We're talking politely here. We're talking politely here.
One day, your time will come and you will die the most.
It's as if she's saying some truly heinous shit. Max says, we spread peace.
Listen to me.
And
when
you spread
when your
death.
time comes.
How are you doctors? Wait.
I want you to remember my face.
Okay,
so
okay.
You can understand
Gotcha.
That you will
I have a question
the most
though.
disgusting death.
All right, for sure. I have a question though.
Yeah,
I have a question. Let's say an Israeli. God
I won't
forbid.
treat them. I won't treat them. I'll kill them.
You'll kill them? So if an Israeli is in Australia and God forbid something happened to him and he comes to your hospital,
I hope to God.
Would you kill him?
You have no idea how many Israeli Khara dog came to this hospital and I sent him to Jahannam. I literally sent him to Jahannam.
For real?
And that's the end of the edited version of the video.
Yeah. And that's what went viral.
That's what went viral.
But it didn't really go viral. What went viral was it went to the news.
Yeah. You know, that old gem.
Yeah.
Now, there is some stuff that from the unedited version, you've got some more context in there, which is interesting. So I want to go through that briefly with you as well.
I haven't heard about this yet.
So basically the intro is all the same up until Guy compliments Max's eyes and is like, shame you're Israeli and you're going to die.
Yeah.
And Max says, why do you think I'm going to get killed? Now, that was in the original version.
Yeah.
This is where it deviates. So Oz1 says...
Because inshallah one day, God will...
Maybe because I served in the IDF? That's why?
That's definitely the answer, correct?
Hell yeah.
That's the reason? Because I served in the IDF? What's the problem with that? What's the issue with that?
And off screen, this is the first time we hear from the second nurse.
You killed innocent people. That's
Killed? I was protecting my country.
So you kill innocent people to protect your country. What kind of soul do you have? You have no soul.
In a war, people die, as you know.
No.
They started the war.
Not 1200.
Who started?
57.
It's okay. Your time will come.
Who started this war?
I hope you guys...
Who elected Hamas? Who elected Hamas?
This is then when Oz2 comes on screen and says the line that is included in the thing. This is Palestine's country, not your country, you piece of shit. So that's a little bit of additional context into that section. Now there's the section that he has redacted. So you want to hear what terrible, horrible, heinous shit she said during that redacted section?
What'd she say?
All right. One day your time will come and you will die the most horrible death.
Die the most horrible
You
death.
sprayed hate. We sprayed positivity. We spread protection. We spread
listen to me.
Peace.
And that's where it cuts back into the regular thing. So she says, you will die the most horrible death. And then he says some shit, but puts emojis over her mouth and bleeps it as if she's still saying the most heinous shit to him that he couldn't possibly share online. She's like, hey, you slur, pejorative slur, I'm gonna violent action, despicable thing,
your family
slur,
member, I'll fucking cut your tits off and play soccer with him.
You know, like it's that kind of vibe, whereas she didn't say that.
She implied that
she's still saying some shit, but she's just saying, like, she's saying what I would say if I was pissed off.
She's a fucking real one.
Yeah.
And she also sounds really pissed off, and justifiably so. Like, he's such a annoying little prick. That's what happens when you talk shit like that.
And that's the thing. It's hard to put into words, especially when you look at the transcripts of what he says, and when you're watching the videos, it's all in his behavior is designed to grate at you.
Because that's the video. He needs a reaction, and so far it had been getting him views, and now he's got like notoriety.
Yeah.
Now he's got like the police were waiting for him to send them the full video.
Yeah. It was a whole fucking thing. Anyway, so at the end of the unedited clip, he calls out to his followers to report the people in the video and get them fired from their workplaces, saying they already got a Canadian guy fired in the past. And it worked. New South Wales Police received reports about the video, as did New South Wales Health, and the two nurses were very quickly stood down. New South Wales Police reached out to Max for the unedited footage. However, it seemed he wasn't cooperating and wouldn't hand it over. According to Max, police provided him with incorrect contact details, and so he couldn't give them the clip. He posted the full unedited version on his Instagram, saying he had nothing to hide. So everyone was tripping over themselves to describe how vile and disgusting the comments in the video are and how this kind of language has no place in Australia. Anthony Albanese, our fearless leader, said,
I'll find you in the street, Albo.
I've seen this anti-Semitic video. It's driven by hate and it's disgusting. The comments are vile, the footage is sickening, and it's shameful. These anti-Semitic comments have no place, certainly in our health system, and no place anywhere else in Australia either.
This slovenly Rabbitoh supporting piece of shit has no place in our health system unless he's being put down.
Or he's been hit by another car.
Yeah, fuck. Someone hit him with a fucking car and send him to Jahannam. Man, fuck that motherfucker. All right, keep going.
He continues and says, the person they're talking to is speaking about peace and is someone who's being very respectful.
Oh, he's such a nice young man.
Being very respectful back in amongst this extraordinary provocation. So that's what I mean. He's playing dumb and playing innocent, which is an insane thing for someone to do when they've served in the Israeli military.
Well, but at that point, I guess Albo doesn't know he's serving the Israeli military. But also, if he'd seen the video and had any like critical thinking, even the original video, if you understand the context of what's going on, would have raised eyebrows. I'd raise my eyebrows, but I'm obviously who I am. But like,
you'd have to imagine, and yet
he can only have seen the version where there's a bunch of emojis on her mouth.
Yeah.
He's seen the fucking TikTok edited version. He's like, this is vile, this is shameful. He hasn't seen shit.
You know, and like, I will say this because I do support them and I agree with everything they said. It was such a bad idea to do it in their work uniforms at their workplace. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. I need you to, I really need you to think about it.
Really bad OPSEC.
Really bad.
Absolutely doing it for the cause. We're getting these conversations out there. But like, why are you on Omegle at work?
Shit, aren't you busy?
You know,
goddamn.
This has this is not to do with what you said, but just like
the context around it. Come on now.
You got to look after yourself. These IDF trolls are apparently on every website, including whatever this is that you're doing on your lunch break. Like, they'll find you. Don't leave a Nextdoor review. They'll find you.
You know, it just that was particularly goofy to me, where I was like, God, that's just such an easy fuck up.
I'm only gonna condemn her for being on fucking Omegle at work at the hospital. But that's fine. You have to do something.
So it's at this point with that, and also I'll say as well, I think the reason Albanese and everybody else in Australian politics has just jumped on and been like, oh, this is so evil, oh, so evil, oh, so bad, so evil, is not only because the people who made the comments are not white, it's also because anti-Semitism at this point is a hot button topic that the Liberals are basically like, Labor's anti-Semitic, and Labor's like, no, we're not anti-Semitic, and everyone's like, you hate Jews, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, everyone's accusing each other of hating Jews.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't understand. I do not understand, because it's not as if the opposite likes Jews. Nobody here has a history of being super friendly with Jews.
Australia had plenty of opportunities to accept Jewish refugees leading up to the Holocaust, didn't.
There's just like, it's all very silly. It's all very silly.
It's in the zeitgeist because of what's happening. Anti-Semitism as an idea, like this.
And I do want to make a comment about anti-Semitism.
Yeah, because I dispute that it is even like particularly rife, but whatever. Let's move.
I want to point out that being a Zionist and being Jewish are not the same thing.
So different.
It's the same thing as being a member of the KKK and being Protestant, or being part of Hamas or Hezbollah and being Muslim.
I would say Zionists are worse than Hamas. They're so much closer to the KKK than they are to Hamas.
So hopefully this helps for white people who struggle to understand the difference. Zionists are Jewish, yes, and believe in the creation and rule of a Jewish state in Israel, in that exact part of the world. The displacement and removal of the people there is just another part of creating a pure Jewish nation. KKK members are Protestant, yes, and believe in the creation and rule of a white Protestant state in America. The displacement and removal of the people there is just another part of creating a pure white nation. Can you spot the difference?
The accents. We gonna reclaim the Holy Land, and we gonna do it for Jehovah.
Shalom, y'all.
Shalom, y'all.
Here's the thing. It feels very difficult to kind of separate certain aspects of Jewishness, faith versus, culture versus ideology versus all these other things, because they often get rounded up into one big thing. And it's because, in my opinion, the Holocaust was such a big fucking thing. Undeniably a huge blow to the entire community, to lots of communities. Black people died, disabled people died, gay people died. Fucking Romani people died. Like, a bunch of Polish people died. Like, just a shitload of people fucking died.
Communists,
in all
Soviets,
of that. Like, it was a huge situation. Almost as many other people of other, like, minorities, demographics died as the amount of Jewish people who died.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, Jewish people died by heaps more than anybody else. But a lot of other people died. Yeah. Like, it's a big thing, and it's a big loss to that community. And in modernity, one of the bigger genocides that people give a shit about, because it happened in Europe.
Yeah.
When these things happen to white people, when they happen in what's meant to be the civilized West, it becomes a really big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And it has shaped the identities of so many people.
Yeah.
And it's a really good lesson in extremism. Something really traumatic happens to a people that is so horrifying that it is felt for generations afterwards, so that when people who weren't even there at the time still feel that kind of trauma in them, they may make extreme decisions because they may be primed to expect it again.
Yeah, the trauma, that
This
fear.
is how extremism happens. It's the circle of violence. Your dad punches you, you punch your kid.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen when you fuck people around like that?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I think that this wave of Zionism is so strong, is because culturally it's all been building up to that. It's the reinstatement of everything that was lost and an idea that we can rebuild. But it also combines with the American ideals of superiority compared to anybody else. For all it's worth, Jewish people in the Levant should identify as Arab, right?
Like because Arab isn't the same as Muslim.
No, but they don't. And it's a difference, because everybody else in that region is like, we're Arab. We're in the Middle East.
Yeah, and
this is kind of the zone we're at. And there is a othering that Israelis have given themselves to be like, well, we're not like them.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem comes, is as soon as you start saying we're not like them, whether you're a Nazi in Germany or you're a Zionist in Israel, as soon as you see another person and say, that's not human though, it's lost. It's done. You don't have morality. You don't have a soul.
And that's instituted into the Constitution of Israel. That this land will be for just Jewish people.
After Israel's parliament passed the controversial new law defining the country as the nation state of the Jewish people.
Exactly.
You have to deal with all the people that are there.
Yeah, because they don't want to leave, and there's more of them than there are of you. So I guess if you just kill 20 times of them every time there's an armed conflict, maybe you'll whittle them down enough.
Yeah, you just compromise on your morality with the idea that your ultimate goal of the state of Israel is worth it, of a pure-blooded, fully Jewish, not a single brown Arab state of Israel. Because, not for nothing, most of the positions of power in Israeli society are still Ashkenazi, so European Jewish people.
Yeah.
Most of the less glamorous positions in Israeli society are filled by, progressively darker Jewish people.
Yeah.
And most of the janitorial staff are the most privileged Palestinians.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I just want to point out, it's not anti-Semitic to hate Zionists.
No. In the same way,
I don't hate them because they're Jewish. I hate them because they're Zionists.
Because they're fucking evil.
There you go.
Because
I don't hate Protestants. I hate the KKK. There you go.
It's not hard. It's not hard to do. And they put so much work into conflating the two things. The religion, which is 50 times older than the state of Israel?
Yeah.
100 times older than the state of Israel?
Some insane shit.
It's an almost unrelated thing.
Yeah.
Benjamin Netanyahu is from fucking Philadelphia. Do you know that?
I didn't know
He's from
that.
fucking Philly.
Fuck off.
In Israel? Okay. But you got to cool that desert off a little bit. Oh, yeah. Can you do that for me?
We'll try.
Thank you.
Thank
You know?
Right.
He's like, oh, Holy Land, Holy Land, Holy Land. But besides all the, just the basic issues, the logical issues with this idea of the wandering Jewish people, something which has been documented to have been invented over time by certain subsets of the larger society, the superstructure, also doesn't make they're referring to the Bible.
Yeah.
In terms of the legitimacy of the nation state, the Bible and the nation state are not compatible things. If we're doing nation state shit, we can't do Bible shit anymore. Those can't be compatible. Nation state is not about that's what was written in rabbinical literature fucking 3,000 years ago. Yeah, like these nurses.
So, back to the nurses. One of the nurses' lawyers says he understands what happened. He's trying to make amends. He has never appeared before the court in relation to any criminal matters. He is a good person. He is a person of good prior character. It is unfortunate to find himself in a situation like this. He says his client has apologized to those involved. According to the reports, this nurse was admitted to hospital after a welfare check due to the stress of the situation. And making matters worse for him, he is an Afghan refugee who recently received his Australian citizenship. Now, because Peter Dutton is the way that he is...
The perception of a leader who doesn't have humanity can have wider ramifications for you.
Well, Carl, it's just ridiculous.
He had this to say. When we have somebody like this who gets through the net, obviously has breached his obligation about a loyalty to our country when he became an Australian citizen, and yet he has the ability to stay in our country, it should be of deep concern to every Australian. It's about how we can say to these people, if you don't share our values, if you're here and you're enjoying the welfare system and you're enjoying free health and free education, then at the same time you hate our country, well, I don't think you've got a place here. Now, I might be way off base here, but I thought we lived in Australia, not Israel.
I thought that.
I didn't hear anything in that video against Australian culture, nor anything against the country in general. What I heard was anti-Israel. But again, that's not where you, me, those nurses, and Peter fucking Dutton live. It's as if the man can't stand to see anything less than a model minority. And even then, they better keep their fucking eyes to the ground when Big White Peter walks past, or he's going to whip out the anti-immigration cannon and shoot you into the ocean.
I'm so sad hearing that. Like, I was talking to my dad a couple of days ago. He sounds despondent. He's like, Peter Dutton might be the prime minister, and I don't think that's going to happen, but this piece of shit, like, yes, absolutely, exactly as you said, we don't live in Israel for the first thing. And what does that imply about what the values that you have to sign up for to support Australia are? That you support Max?
Yeah, the values of an Australia that Peter Dutton and also most politicians in Australia would prefer is shut up and be a doormat.
Yeah, shut up and
smile,
let us take your shit.
Drink and gamble, have no money, and don't complain. Why are you complaining? You're meant to be an Aussie battler. Why are you complaining? You want to live somewhere? Why are you complaining?
Also, he's like, oh, how did this guy take our healthcare? He's a nurse?
He's a nurse. He's providing the healthcare. Are you fucked
for
in the
not
head?
enough money. Aren't they... Like, because I definitely have conspiracy hat on, because I know Nurses Union in New South Wales, I feel like have been fighting for better pay.
You know?
Is this just anti-nurse shit that they're like, oh, you know what? We
got them.
People love Israel so much, we can turn them against nurses by getting them to think nurses are anti-Israel. Is that the play? Jesus Christ.
So because this incident got so much media attention, Max updated his followers on Instagram saying that while he can't say too much because of the ongoing investigation, he did read somewhere that drugs were found in the male nurse's locker in the hospital. Now, I've not been able to find his source, so Max, if you're listening, just shoot that through to shouldntacome@gmail.com.
Yeah, and also, Max, come on down. I want to chat. Let's talk. No weapons. Let's talk.
The female nurse, who is Australian-born, had her home raided by Strikeforce Pearl, the anti-Semitism police squad or whatever. And they had...
The Semitism squad?
The Semitism squad. Why is that a fire name? Me and the boys, yeah, we're the Semitism squad.
Yeah, we're the Semit schism.
Fuck. So apparently they had taken a number of items for examination. While there's been no charges laid while I'm writing this, it's only a matter of time before they can pin something on them. Outside of the aforementioned reactions, there have been some discussions on why these two were so quickly named, shamed, fired, and stripped of their medical licenses. Prominent Muslim groups and leaders have criticised the selective outrage this whole thing has caused. They said the speed, intensity, and uniformity of the responses from certain political leaders and media outlets was revealing. They continued on to say that this statement is not about defending inappropriate remarks. It is about pushing back against the double standards and moral manipulation at play while the mass killing of our brothers and sisters in Gaza is met with silence, dismissal, or complicity.
That's a tough line to toe, but I feel like they did well.
You know?
Like, trying to, like, say it in a way that won't get Albo telling them, like, oh, you know what, next you're gonna... Well, you want to have Crystal knocked instead of the NRL Grand Final now.
Fuck. Jesus Christ. But lucky for us, it's not just digital drama or foreign influencers trying to get a bite, it's the true blue Aussies right here in God's country too. Egyptian restaurant Cairo Takeaway in Sydney's Inner West was recently accosted by Ophir Birnenbaum and a crew of journalists from the Daily Telegraph. Ophir donned a hat and a pendant, both with the Star of David on them.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. His name's Burning Bum?
It's Birnbaum. Birenbaum.
I heard a rhyme about this guy.
Oh, liar, liar?
Yeah.
Pants on fire?
Pants on fire, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely about Birnbaum. Yeah.
All right, Burning Bum.
Burning Bum. Fuck. So he donned a hat and a pendant, both with the Star of David on them, and entered the restaurant ordering a tea. He paid, received his tea, and after hanging around for a bit and being ignored, he left. The producers who were with him then entered the restaurant and spoke to staff, while filming them, of course. And they all walk outside to where Ophir is waiting. He accuses them of treating him differently because he's Jewish. They disagree. An argument ensues, and eventually Ophir and the journos leave with a Cairo staff member telling them they picked the wrong restaurant to fucking try this shit in. Ophir denies doing anything wrong and says they discriminated against him. The restaurant says he was acting weird, but they served him like any other customer. Looking at the footage and the context, clearly he wanted a reaction that he didn't get. The journos with him were probably pissed because they didn't get a story, so they went in to manufacture drama and it backfired on them. Not to praise A Current Affair, which is a dog shit show for old people who like to feel anger because they've forgotten how to feel love.
Shout out, Tony.
But at least they know how to psychologically fuck with a subject until they get a result. This is amateur hour Daily Telegraph. You're embarrassing the legacy of sensationalist media in this country.
They're just fucking storming in. They're like, why didn't you yell at our guy?
Pretty much.
Why didn't you start a scene?
Like they honestly, it's so heavily disputed what was said, what wasn't said, because we don't have like the footage, and the footage we've had that's released is like security camera footage, which doesn't really have audio. It's just kind of got like what was happening. So the guy goes in, grabs his tea, he just kind of wanders around for a bit, and then he leaves.
It's like empty, right?
No, there's people in there. Like it's like a reasonably
so
bustling
just, like,
cafe,
wandering around a cafe,
and then just kind of goes out. And then a journalist comes in and she talks to the staff at the counter. She comes in, a guy with a camera is following her, and the people at the counter seem kind of like confused. They're like, "Hello." One of them goes to make a call, perhaps to a manager or to the owner, to be like, "Hey, there's a camera crew in the cafe, and they're saying that we're anti-Semitic." They go outside to speak to Ophir to be like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, what the fuck is going on?" And basically, the journalist is trying to provoke a reaction. Ophir is trying to provoke a reaction. And, like, the staff are just like, what the fuck? Fuck off.
Yeah.
We didn't do shit. You came in, you ordered a tea, you got your tea, you left. What's the issue? And they're like, "Oh, well, you treated me differently." And they're like, how?
What do we put in
One
your
lady
tea?
even went, "I hope you enjoy your tea," as, like, he left. Like, just like a, you know, have a nice day kind of thing. Like, there's also a thing that they alleged was said during their argument that they've had to retract because Ophir, like, his lawyer put through a thing being like, he didn't fucking say that. Allegedly, he said, "I hope your restaurant gets blown up."
He said that. I want to be clear. I'm alleging he said that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and there's a shitload of witnesses. Like, the cafe was, like, 70% full.
And it's just like a cafe.
It's just a fucking cafe.
Yeah, like it's a cafe
It's
that
just
you
a
could have
restaurant.
wandered into off the street.
You just walk into it. It was picked, I imagine, because it's got a big mural of like resistance fist in the Palestinian colours.
Yeah, it's
and
an
also
Arab
they were
cafe.
doing a drive for Gaza for
so
donations.
They figured, these people who care about other people are definitely the only people who care about other people on this planet. Also hate Jews. That's the implied morality of this situation.
Yeah.
You can't care about Gazans unless you hate Jews.
Yeah, they're one and the same, don't you know? Anyway, so because the war isn't stopping anytime soon, and I don't even want to touch on the Riviera of the Middle East shit, this is something that's going to keep happening. This is all propaganda. It's easy for us now in 2025 to look back at Uncle Sam and Red Scare posters and think, "Oh, you dipshits fell for that?" Because we have computers now. Sweet digital slaves that can never be compromised or lie to us. Except we all know that's not true. As a kid, I read online about a genetic condition called Alexandria's Genesis. It's a condition that makes you really pretty, gives you purple eyes, pale skin, no body hair, you don't need to shit, you can live up to 150 years old, and you don't get a period but can still have babies.
Oh, hell yeah. Give me.
Now, listener, because I read it online, does that make it true? Propaganda is always important to recognize, because being manipulated means someone wants something from you that in your normal state of mind sounds insane. It will prey on your hopes and fears and strong emotional triggers to play you like a fiddle. It's not easy picking out. But something I cannot stress enough is that if you hear something that creates a strong emotion in you, usually outrage or vindication, take a moment to consider its merits. If you care, that is. Lots of people don't. I certainly can't care about everything all the time. But if you never choose to examine the things you are told, you might as well stop thinking altogether. What's the point?
I mean, what else is there to say? We're being sold an unbelievable story. And the chunk of people who, like you say, aren't really thinking about it are just happy to accept it. It's an insult to the idea of intelligence that we could create people who could so uncritically accept something of such ferocity, of such bloodthirstiness, of such apparent evil as a necessary thing, as something that is fundamental to Australianism, as something that is a guiding tenet of what makes this country.
You know, and chasing the Australian dream dragon is such a fool's errand. What an Australian is and what it means to be Australian is always going to change. and it shouldn't be dictated by people in office.
No.
That's the least Australian person I've ever seen. You're telling me you think Peter Dutton is Australian? Anthony Albanese is Australian? Julia Gillard is Australian?
Yeah.
Scott Morrison, that's an Australian?
Scott-mo. He doesn't
They're
look like he can roll
Australians?
his arm over.
I don't fucking know those people. I don't know those people. They aren't my neighbors. They're not my community. They're not my friends. They're certainly not my family. Who the fuck are they?
You know who I do know? A bunch of fucking Arab healthcare workers.
Mhm.
Because in this country, the jobs that fucking white people aren't doing anymore. And I'm not going to be Vivek Ramaswamy about this. I'm not saying it's because of like a lacking gene or whatever he said. But like in the shape of colonialism, the jobs that the dominant culture view as beneath them, a lot of healthcare work, a lot of disabled care work, a lot of elderly care work,
Yeah.
janitorial stuff, food service, is Arabs, is black people, is Indians.
Who delivers your food?
Who delivers your
Who
fucking
drives your
food?
transport?
Well, when you go to the hospital,
Who takes care of you when you're in hospital?
How many Lebanese nurses do you know? How many Palestinian nurses do you know?
You know?
Like, those of us from not Australia or the UK come from places with strong traditions of caring for the infirm and elderly. Australians are happy to have armies of us looking after their fucking grandparents that they hate.
Yeah, just shove them in a home somewhere where they're going to be mismedicated or just fucking die because you don't give a shit about them. Don't care about your old people. It's not like they're the reason you're there or anything.
And whatever stuff they are is fucking imported. Like, they like, and I don't mean imported. I hate this country.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have come. All right, bye, everyone.
Bye. We'll see you next week. We're going to talk about the Olympics.
Yay!
Fuck. All right.